Well, ladies and gents, this feels different. So, kinda. Welcome back to the From Bromley with Love YouTube deep dive. It's been a long time. The last time you saw me do one of these with Cole was, I think, if you go back on the YouTube page, I'm sure you lot can tell me. But I swear the last time Colin and I did this, it was something along the lines of 10 games to go. What do we think Bromley can do? I think Colin and I kind of did we looked at the last 10 games of the season and we decided we went through each fixture working out would Bromley win, lose, draw, how many points would we end with. And I think, Cole, we pretty much, between the two of us, were roughly, I think we were both 2 points out. I think we said 83. I think Bromley ended on 81. So we were roughly there or thereabouts. Obviously, Bromley got to the playoff final, won at Wembley, tears were shed, greatest moment in Bromley's history. And as you join us now, people, without me doing a proper intro for Cole, I've just realised that there'll be some Bromley fans who've only just joined the ride for this season as we're in League Two, and you probably don't even know who Cole is. So, assuming that we've gained some new fans for this season, let me actually intro the show properly. I'm Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, the host of From Bromley with Love. Maybe you've read some of my stuff on the Substack page down below. You can see the link to it after this episode or during it. Please go and subscribe to the Substack page. We're nearly on 500 subscribers for that newsletter, so do go and subscribe. Cole writes for it. Andrew Miller writes for it. Pete Everington edits everything brilliantly. Martin Gregg provides all the photos on it. Anybody's free to submit to that. So if anyone's like, oh, can I write for that? Just send an article in. All the details, you can find them below. Also, go to the X page, used to be called Twitter, at Bromley with Love. You can follow the handle there. Cole's also on Twitter, or X, sorry. I'm also on X separately to that. But Cole, that's enough of me. Assuming some people don't know who you are, Cole, just introduce yourself to the people.
I'm Colin. I've been watching Bromley since 1977. I used to edit the fanzine for about 23 years. Used to run the supporters team for about the same amount of time. Been a Bromley fan since I was 6. Home and away from about 15 through till 2011, and then I kind of like took on parental responsibilities and basically just come to the home games now. But Bromley's in the blood. You know, I go to my games with my son. We can be found on the East Terrace if you ever want to chew the fat with us. You know, yeah, it's all good.
Most definitely, people. If you're ever at a home game, you'll definitely find Cole, like he says, on the East Terrace. I tend to be sitting up in the prawn brigade nowadays, but
we don't get to talk anymore.
Once upon a time, Colin and I, we've earned our war medals ad infinitum up and down Ryman League grounds. Once upon a time, but listen, Cole. The point of this, the kind of first real episode of the season on the YouTube page. Obviously, there's the interviews with Andy. I did the big interview before the season started. I try to do as many, depending on the games that I get to, I try and do as many post-match interviews with Andy as possible and ask him a few sterner questions where I can. But we're 7 games in, Cole, to our inaugural season in the Football League. We're on 7 points, point per game. 2 wins, which were our first 2 games away at Harrogate, who were familiar foes from the National League. Then home against AFC Wimbledon, which felt special. In our first ever home game in the Football League. And then since then, Cole, it's been a learning curve. We've played 5 league games, 4 defeats, 1 draw. Just to recount for people who don't know, we lost at Bradford, having gone down to 10 men in the 8th minute when Ashley Charles got sent off, lost 3-1 there. We were leading Crewe up until the 83rd minute. They scored twice in the last 7 minutes and we lost at home 2-1 to them. Went to Colchester and picked up a good point at Colchester. Then we lost. Then we went 2-0 up at home to Notts County. Again, familiar foes from the National League. And then they really turned it on and dispatched us 4-2. And in our most recent game, we went to Grimsby, another familiar foe from the National League. And they beat us 1-0. But by all accounts, speaking to people who went there, it literally was the penalty was the only thing that kind of differed between the two sides. But that's almost a good point at which to start, Cole, because in these last 5 games or so, the EFL Trophy game against Cambridge notwithstanding, we're finding out that the step up from the National League to the Football League, whilst not huge, the margins might be tiny, but they're significant. And they've in that stretch of 5 games, Grimsby's the only one that I missed, but in that stretch of 5 games, what I've found the difference or that stood out for me from National League to League Two, which it sounds about right when I say it, is if you give chances away, more often than not, they're going to take them.
Yeah.
And there's been a few games this season where it'd be like, that wouldn't have happened in the National League. They wouldn't have taken, like the Crew one's a good one. That we would have seen that one. We would have seen that game out 1-0 in the National League, or at worst 1-1. But whoever we were playing wouldn't have won it 2-1 at the death. And there's just been little signs, and it's fine margins, but we're on the wrong end of them this season.
Yeah, that's how I said the Crew game was the absolute example of just the little step up in quality. No doubt that would have been a 1-0 win. We'd have shut up shop, 5 at the back, holding midfielder in front. You know, thou shall not pass, and we'd have come out with a win like we did so many times last season. But this year, even a team that's near the bottom has got the quality and the nous to find a way. So if you sit back and say, right, that's us, we're done. You know, they shut up shop. They will find a way, and then once they found a way in the 83rd minute, they then find a way again in the 91st, and you're coming away with nothing from a game that you were leading for the majority of the match. And that, I think that's the difference. I think it's a little bit of know-how on the coaching's probably a little bit better. The scout is definitely better because without a doubt, teams seem to have a plan of how to open us up now. Yeah, so it's just that little bit tougher, and we're going to have to learn quite quickly, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. The other thing that I've picked up on, which I'd love to know your take on, I wrote about it after, can't remember which game it was, but there's 5 subs you can use in EFL. And obviously in the National League, that wasn't the case. You couldn't name 7, and more importantly, you couldn't use 5. And I noticed in some of those early games that we were making 1 sub, then 1 sub, then 1 sub. Even in that Crew game, when I think their manager's Lee Bell, I think that's his name, he brought on 2 in the first batch, 2 in the next batch, and then 1 more in the final one. So use all 5 subs. But it wasn't just the fact that some of these teams are using the subs better. We've also got to be realistic, and this is where I'm a bit critical of some of the Bromley fans. Some of these teams have deeper quality and depth, or their quality and depth. When they're turning to their bench, they're bringing on players that can legitimately change the game, right, at this level of football. And I just think where games which we look like we're in control of, that managerial nous that you're talking about, but also that extra quality and depth means they can turn, like, okay, Notts County, they turned to Alassana Jatta, the big man, brought him on at half-time, and he changed the game. Yeah. All of a sudden, there was a focal point up top. He's running in the gaps, running off the ball, laying off. We couldn't cope. County bought him for 150k, like from the Danish Premier League. When we played Crew bought on Omar Bogle. Yes. And he started doing smash mouth against our central defence, and it was a problem. And I'm not saying that we don't have quality, but this is going to hit home possibly. We have National League quality and depth. I don't know if we've got proven League 2 quality and depth. And the key word there is proven.
Yeah. We're going to have to learn very quickly, but it's in a difficult situation because we've probably got an 11 or 12 that you would say, they all belong at this level, right? The other guys that you're bringing on have got to find a way to prove themselves when they're only getting 10, 20 minutes. It's really difficult for them. I think as much as the EFL trophy is derided, we kind of need that because because people that aren't getting regular minutes in the league games are going to need to find the level and find out what it's like and get 90 minutes playing decent opposition. So we've kind of got to use the Chelsea game this week and the Charlton one in November. We've got to use that to give guys 90 minutes who aren't getting a look in at the moment, because they need to understand the difference.
Yeah, I again, people say, "Oh, you two are just agreeing with each other," but no, it's spot on. It's spot on, and it's funny, Cole, because prior to the Cambridge game, I was kind of just being like, "I'm going to it," and I'll go to the Chelsea one at the time of recording tomorrow. I'll be there tomorrow, but before the tournament started, it's like, "Oh yeah, we'll just change the 11," and was kind of laissez-faire about it. But I'm like you now. My attitude now is this is crucial game time, because when you're on a losing run, it's not as simple anymore to just be like, well, we'll just throw this guy in, because whichever that guy is, let's say it's Levi Amanchi, or if it was Olafella Olamole, even if it was the new boy Josh Thomas, Josh Thomas, they're not getting significant minutes. So they need a 90 minutes, or they need a 70 minutes, or a 65 minutes, so that if Woodman made the decision, let's just say, who have we got on Saturday?
MK Dons.
MK Dons, right? So let's say he makes the decision against MK Dons. Right, I'm switching it up. Cheek's going up front with, let's just say he says Levi. Well, Levi needs to play some minutes ahead of that, because otherwise he'll be rusty. He ain't really getting significant minutes elsewhere. If you see where I'm coming from. So I do concur with you. Where has there been any part of the performances, whether individual or team, that you've been disappointed with? That's a harsh question, but
I think we've given a couple of really silly penalties away, and that maybe just comes from being a little bit more under pressure than we were last year. Maybe I think the two most recent ones, we give a penalty away against Notts County, and some people said it was soft, but it wasn't a great challenge to put in the area. No. You're giving the referee an excuse.
Yeah.
Same with Saturday's penalty. Again, it's not a challenge you need to make there, and maybe our decision making's just got to get a little better. But we are seriously learning on the job this year, aren't we? You know. But yeah, just a couple of decisions you think, oh mate, what have you done that for? But I guess it's like you said, it's that fine little bit where maybe it's just that little bit quicker. Yes. And you just got to get that little bit sharper mentally, and that's only going to come with practice. But I
think I was trying to work it out, and I've got no hard and fast data to really use for this. If you've still got your Bromley book, then maybe you might be the best person to ask. But I think Mike Head posted something recently. Shout out Mike, by the way, if he's watching this. But Mike posted something recently where he said you'd have to go as far back as the 2012-2013 season, which I think was that win at Truro in the rain back in the Conference South days, to find a season where Bromley legitimately struggled.
Yes.
And I want every Bromley fan who's listening to this to understand that this is no joke. It's literally been over 10 years since we last had a season of struggle. Like real, right, batten down the hatches. This could get a bit sticky this season. And because it's over 10 years, Cole, that means there is a generation of Bromley fans who I genuinely believe don't know what a bad or I call it subpar, not bad. They don't know what a subpar Bromley season looks like. All they've ever seen is playoffs, FA Trophy, playoffs, League Two. A crap season for the modern Bromley fan was ending 10th in the National League.
Yeah, exactly.
You see where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
so I do wonder how this new era of Bromley fan is going to cope with. I think you summed it up the other day as we might have more losses than wins this season.
Yeah, and that'll be the first time in 11 years that we lose more games than we've won. but we might well do this year. And like the sheer thing is, like, we have 3,000 plus fans every home game now. Back then, what, we had less than 1,000.
That's what I think. That's what I was going to ask you. I think it was 950, 1,000 tops. Back then.
1,000 was a good crowd. So you're looking at like 2/3 of the fan base haven't been through this yet, and it's not easy. It's tough. Once you get to April and you're getting the calculator out, it's not good. There was, I'll tell you a quick story. The Truro season, the one where we won at Truro, got a point off Purfleet, stayed up with a game to go. There was about 2 weeks before the end of that season, I would apparently, according to my wife, stare at the league table for 45 minutes. And she said, it's not going to change when you look at it. And I was like, I'm just trying to work out how we get out of this. And we could be back there this year.
So this is the thing. Of course, I'm not near any panic stage yet. It's ridiculous. It's a 46 game season, and we've played 7 of them. We ain't even touched the FA Cup yet. We're still in this EFL trophy thing. So the one thing that I will always say, and the thing that I would always remind Bromley fans about, and I did it every season in the National League prior to our promotion under Andy Woodman, which is that every time under Andy we've ever been in any kind of poor stretch of form, he finds a way.
Yeah.
And that's why I will never panic, because he finds a way. The difference is now he needs to find a way at a level that nobody in our club's ever experienced before. So I don't doubt that he's going to have his work cut out to find a way, but I trust him to find a way because that's what he does. The disadvantage we've got though, Cole, is we're in a league now where there's transfer windows. We can't just do the non-league thing and just go get a player and say, well, you know what, we need to just go fill this gap with this player, where we have what we have until at least January. So everything's changed a bit.
Yeah, and even the loans market, in it, we've got to wait till January now to change. I think we got 26-man squad, maybe 25. There's plenty of options there, but yeah, until we can't shake anything up until January. But maybe we do have to shake up with what we've got and try a few different things. I mean, if we keep the point a game average, we should be all right, because only 2 go down.
Oh yeah, keep forgetting it's only 2 there. Do you know when you said that initially, I was like, what the hell's Cole talking about? But you're right, only 2 teams go down.
Yeah, I was reading the non-league paper today because I still get it out of habit. And I looked at it and they were going, oh, it has to be 3 up, 3 down. And I was thinking, not now, we're in the League 2, mate. I'm pulling the ladder up. It's like...
Yeah, if Robin Stanton Gleeses listens to this, vote no. Forget all them lot down there. They can't come up with us. But it's interesting because you've just mentioned maybe it's time to shake things up a bit. And I would expect Andy to use the Chelsea under-21 game as pretty much a dress rehearsal for players that he may want, not the whole squad, but players that he's thinking about for MK Dons, where it's like, it's your time now. You've earned your chance, because at the end of the day, no wins in 5 means somebody's got to come out of the team. I would expect that lineup against Chelsea under-21s to be pretty instructive as to who he's looking at. Now, this is where it gets a bit difficult for you now, Colin. I'm deliberately putting you on the spot, not myself. And
Thanks.
those who are let me put you on the ducking stool. So, those who are listening to this or watching this, put your comments below as well if you're somebody who comments on YouTube, or comment on Facebook or whatever, right? The only players in the team that I think are assured of a spot: Michael Cheek, Grant Smith, Danny Imre, Idris Odeteo.
Yeah.
That's it. Anybody else could hold as far as I'm concerned, anybody else could be out of the team at this point in time. Because as much as I'm saying, yeah, I trust Andy to sort it out, no wins in 5 means loads of people should be able to be removed out of the side because you're looking at combinations and so on and so forth. So I guess when I'm putting you on the ducking stool, Col, I'm asking you, who are some of the bigger name players that you might think could be riding the bench for a bit of time now?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I mean, I think you kind of got to look at the defence because we're letting in goals and clean sheets was the mantra. And so many interviews you did with Andy last season when it was, if you don't concede, you don't lose. Maybe we got to look at bringing in the young. Is it Foran? The guy.
Yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah.
He's had one so far. That was against Cambridge. He's got. I'm fully expecting him to play tomorrow, and maybe put his hand up because, like you say, no one else can really say, yeah, I deserve to be a regular at the moment because things aren't going right. Maybe we've got to mix things up. I'm not really, like you say, down the middle with Cheek, Smith, they have to play. Idris, Imre, without a doubt. What a great signing he's proved to be. I'm really not sure apart from that. The centre midfield is a bit of a quandary as well because we've got so much quality there, but I don't think we found the right mix yet.
It's not clicking for me right now.
No.
It's not clicking. So against Grimsby, he went Thomas and Arthurs and Whiteley and Congreve ahead of those two with Cheek on his own up front, which I guess that leads me to the next question, Cole. I think Andy has to commit to 2 up front.
Yeah,
I think he has to.
Yep.
I think the only way I would agree with Andy and Alan Dunn and Alex Dyer, etc., and all the backroom staff about Steve Harris, etc., about Cheek up front with people behind him is if Whiteley and Congreve were like putting in that real work. But I'm sorry, they're not. As in, let me just clarify what I mean by that work. They're not affecting the game enough. They may. I'm sure the people who crunch the numbers will tell me that their running numbers are high. I'm not doubting that. But are they, from an attacking point of view, affecting the game enough? And would the balance of the side be better with somebody playing off Cheek? I'm not saying it has to be Dananga. Whoever it is, whether it's Dananga, whether it's Levi, whether it's Josh Thomas, whoever. Yeah. I just wonder if Andy's now got to commit to 2. But I also have to be honest, Colin, say I get why he doesn't sometimes, because when you're away from home, and this is the thing, Colin, again, another thing that Bromley fans have to understand, this isn't National League where you can look at games like, let me think of teams last year, Oxford City, and go, well, of course we're going to get 3 points there. Here's something. We're Oxford City this season. I'm not even saying that to make a joke, but the other teams are looking at us like we were looking at Oxford City. So it's not. There's no gimmies. I guess is what I'm saying. So I get why Andy would err on the side of caution quite a lot.
Yeah, but I think you almost need 2 up front for an extra outlet. It's an awful lot of work for Cheek to do. I mean, honestly, that guy, every game, I don't know how many yards he covers, but honestly, he could do with a little bit of support up there. I think the Whiteley Cheek combination, it still works, but it hasn't worked as effectively as it has done in previous seasons. But I would probably still pick Corey, but I would like to see another striker up with Cheek. I think it gives the opposition something to think about.
Who would you go with at this one? Is it Dananga?
I'm old school. I'd go Amanci. I like a big guy up there as well, and he's got great feet as well. He's deceptively quick. I just think it gives us something else.
Interesting. So you're saying 2 up top, Levi and Cheek. Corey still gets the kind of nod, and I get why, totally, of course. Who's your midfield two then? Because I don't know who our best two are. So
No,
we've got a choice of Arthur's, Lewis Lee, Ashley Charles, Ben Thompson. I
and
would,
Con as well.
yeah, I would
Yeah,
assume that if they now think that Thompson is up to speed in terms of fitness, it's now Thompson plus one other, just
that's
because of Thompson's Football League experience and nous. But I don't know. How do you see it?
I don't, we when the last game I didn't go to Grimsby. Obviously, the last game I saw when Arthur's didn't play. I thought we noticed. I thought we missed him. So Arthur's definitely is in with shout. I want to see more of Lee. We know how good he is, but I don't think we've seen enough of it yet this season. But whether that's down to opportunities, it could be that. Hopefully he gets a game tomorrow night. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think Thompson looks like he's a nailed-on starter, and like you say, he's on loan from a League One club. We've got to kind of use him as much as we can, really. He looks decent from the time that I've seen him on the pitch. So yeah, maybe put Arthur's next to him. And we're always going to play five at the back. We know that with the two wing backs. Imre's a shoe-in, or the Teo's a shoe-in. The three centre backs. I mean, I don't know where we go with the three at the moment. I don't know what our best three are. We haven't seen Forum much yet. We haven't seen Omar much yet. Deji's still injured.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah. Good point. Did you know what? I'm going to throw that to the crowd. Those watching, listening to this, you tell us what three do you go with now? Because at the end of the day, we shipped 11. I think it's 11 in our last 5 or something like that. And based on how Andy sets his teams up, he'll be absolutely livid with that. Yeah. So no one can truly say I deserve to keep the shirt, so to speak. I'm going to throw one more curveball, Cole, and then we'll wrap this one up. So I went to one preseason game this year, which was Aldershot away. And after that game, if people go to the Substack page, read the match synopsis I did after that Aldershot game, and I suggested something, Cole. And Andy, I'm sure Andy Woodman will listen to this. So Andy, I'll speak directly to you. Put Lewis Lee in the 10. Put him in the 10. So that would mean that Corey has to sit on the bench for a game, and try Lewis Lee in the 10. So you have Thompson and, I know, Jude, whoever, in the kind of holding midfielders. And then you have Lewis Lee as the link man behind two strikers. His game, I'm not sure if he's totally got that game, but I know Lewis Lee can spot a pass. And I've always wondered if we should be playing Lewis Lee further forward in midfield. He doesn't have Corey's turn off pace, but he does have vision. I don't know. At this point, Cole, you've got to try anything different. That's all I'm saying, So I'd be intrigued to see if they'd ever go down something like that. Just try something a bit outlandish to see how it works.
Yeah, I think it's going to be time to try a few things out. Definitely, yeah.
And ultimately, like you say, Chelsea under 21s. That's why this EFL trophy is actually probably worth its while, because even if you get knocked out, you've got 3 extra games to at least try something and look at things and give people game time. It's why after the Cambridge one, Cole, I said to Andy, it's like a better version of the Kent and London Cup, basically.
Yeah, because you got a better opposition, but equally you can try stuff, because at the end of the day, if we go out, it's not the biggest deal now. But it's just a matter of, let's try stuff out. Let's see if we can get something that works. If we can build on that on Saturday.
For sure. Listen, people, I said to Cole before the episode started, we'll try and wrap this in half an hour. If I wanted to, and Cole wanted to, we could take this another half an hour, but we won't, because this was just a reintroduction to the deep dive that Colin and I did quite a bit last season in the National League. Little did we know when we started it last season that it would end in Bromley's historic promotion to League Two, but it did, and now we're bringing back the show for League Two. So if you want to see more of these, obviously get in the comments below, like the video, subscribe. Bromley fans are not really au fait with this whole YouTube thing. But apparently you're supposed to like, share, and subscribe. So do all of that stuff. Do all of that stuff and share it in your WhatsApps and so on and so forth. Go and add Colin on Twitter. Bromley with Love. That's the app for this show on Twitter as well. And go to the Substack. That's the big thing, the Substack. That's where you can read a lot of Colin's stuff, my stuff, anybody else's stuff about Bromley in general, and your own if you want to submit. But Cole, let's touch base again very, very soon.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
And let's chew the fat on Bromley's season thus far. For everyone who's joined us on today's show, like I say, we'll try to make them somewhat regular going forward. If you don't see one for another 3 months, well, that's how it goes sometimes. But see you all soon, people.